Building for Learning. We are going to be talking about Better Together, and also we're going to do a little show, not tell, as far as what Better Together is doing. So Better Together is a mental health grant here in Crosse County, working on improving the mental behavioral health of really our entire community, but we're taking a look specifically at our youth, ages 12 to 18. And so just to tell you a little bit about what it is that we're doing, we are conveners of a conversation. Thank you, I might start talking. We are conveners of a conversation on mental health and wellness here in Crosse County until 2024. We're funded by the Advancing a Healthier Wisconsin Endowment at the Medical College of Wisconsin in Milwaukee, and they have really charged us to improve the mental health of our community. And we do that through a couple of different ways. We want to reduce the depression among our youth, ages 12 to 18. We also want to promote resilience. There's science out there that says in order to transform the lives of our youth, we have to transform the lives of the adults around our youth. And if you're a teacher, if you're a worker in this community, a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a neighbor, a community member at a church, or just in a neighborhood, we all play a role to support our youth and our community through taking care of ourselves. And we're here to promote an overall culture of mental wellness, and that's something we'll be doing today with you, and to normalize those mental health conversations. A little bit about what drove us as a community to apply for this grant. And there are 10 funded communities from the Advancing a Healthier Wisconsin Endowment at the Medical College of Wisconsin who are doing just what we are doing, to the tune of $30 million really infused into these communities in order to improve behavioral health. But we found from the Youth Risk Behavior Survey that at one point in time, about 33% of our youth were feeling so sad or hopeless for 2 weeks or more. What we are trying to do by the time our grant is done in 2024 is to reduce that risk back to 23%. That's still a lot of youth who are feeling so sad or hopeless for 2 weeks or more that's putting them at risk for depression as a youth, but also later in life. So that's at least what we're trying to do, and hopefully we'll hit that mark and go beyond it. But a couple key driving factors that led us to how we want to do this work is look at that social and emotional learning, right? How we are thinking and feeling and acting, and some strategies there in social and emotional learning and coping skills for our youth. But we really want to enhance our knowledge about mental wellness, our mental health and our mental wellness. And that's what we're here today to do, is to talk about mental wellness and some strategies there. We want to enhance our understanding of that supportive adult, that role that we can play in our youth's life in order to transform their lives and make them feel better every day. And then we understand that we can't do it alone. We can't put the responsibility of mental health just in our schools. We can't put the responsibility of mental health just on our parents. We can't put the responsibility of mental health just in our county system or in our law enforcement. It really takes everybody prioritizing it and working on it together in order to transform our community. And so Better Together has some key strategies. Our first strategy is to enhance the resilience and coping skills of our youth. Our second strategy is to enhance the resilience and coping skills of our adults. Because like I said, in order to transform the lives of our youth, we need to transform the lives of our adults. We need to feel resilient ourselves so that youth around us can also be resilient. And then the systems piece, our cooperation and coordination piece, is really to enhance decision making. Are we making the best decisions for our youth based on evidence, based on data? And can we increase communication really across our entire county system? And that's not just our County Health and Human Services Department, but across our schools, our law enforcement, our neighborhoods, our faith, our communities of faith, our nonprofit organizations, our families as well, in order to really prioritize
resilience. And that resilience is, being able to bounce back after adversity, and not just bounce back, but bounce forward in your life. And this is all connected to a framework that you saw this morning, the Resilient and Trauma-Informed Community Framework, because our mental health and wellness is all connected there. And you can see that top piece of the framework is really talking about resilience, and that's where our project comes to play. So that's the overview of what Better Together is and is doing, and that's a lot of jargon in there for you, but you can know that Better Together is here until 2024, working on building the resilience of our community. And I want to introduce you to someone who's doing just that. Sarah Johnson is the mental health director here at the YMCA in La Crosse and in Onalaska, but she's a steering committee member of Better Together. She's a support team member on the Resilient and Trauma-Informed Community Support Team. That's a team that's really looking to infuse and work with champions across our entire county that are working on resilience and trauma-informed care. And today, Sarah's going to talk about one key piece of mental wellness and taking care of ourselves, and that is self-care. And that is a key strategy that we are prioritizing this year as far as the Better Together grant is concerned for our youth-serving organizations and our teachers and our faith community to be able to incorporate those practices. So Sarah today here is to show us, and not necessarily tell us, about how to do self-care and mental wellness.
Thank you.
That's really live.
Yes, I can tell. How is the sound? It's doing okay? You can hear? Okay, good. Let me know if it gets, weird. Hi. How's your day going? Are you sliding into post-lunchville? Okay, I'll get you moving real quick. I am thrilled to be here, and kind of like Beth said, really what we're looking at today is looking at this foundation. And foundationally, how we care for ourselves makes all the difference in the world for our ability to sustainably and effectively care for others. So that's what today is about with me. This is a snapshot of my Self-Care 101 training. How many of you think you may have been to a Self-Care 101 with me? Great. So some of these slides may be familiar to you. Some of the concepts may be familiar to you. If you have, terrific. Use this as an opportunity to kind of check in with yourself. Like, okay, I heard this information before. Did I bother to do anything with it? And if I did, what made me successful? And if I didn't, what got in my way? Does that make some sense? Okay, great. So this is about making self-care your jam. If you don't know what I mean by that, I just mean, how do you incorporate self-care as a daily practice? How is that something that just becomes a part of who you are and how you operate? So this is me. I am considered the mental health director at the YMCA, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it down below. AKA, it's like it's in subliminal information down there. I call myself the happiness fairy because I think that's more descriptive of who I am and what I do. So in a nutshell, my professional experience, all my early experience was in prevention, youth development, and health promotion. And then later, I did work as a clinician, as a mental health therapist. And then currently, I'm here to sprinkle the information and experience I have from all of those different hats into the brains of everybody in the community. So I'm here trying to build all of our mental health literacy so that we all know how to care for ourselves and each other in effective and sustainable ways. So, hence the happiness fairy. Our topic today, then, the preview that I'm giving you right now, is #selfcare. And before we roll into our topic, my cat Snazzy Pants is curious about what brought you to this room. So this morning we had an opportunity, or actually it was just this afternoon, Carolyn asked us, really what gave our work some meaning and purpose. And so I want to have you dive back actually a little farther than that even, and try to see if you can identify the germ of the first moment that you had the idea that you wanted to help other people in some way or another. See if you can remember back to that moment, or moments, maybe it was a collection of moments, maybe it was influential people, or an influential experience, but try to find the morsel of what caused you to want to help people. Bring that to mind, and then I'm going to encourage you to actually rise up out of your seats so you can get, some physical activity and get the lunch moving through to your brain. And rise up out of your seat, find somebody you don't necessarily know, introduce yourself and chat with them for a couple of minutes. What is it that brought you to the work that you do? So, listen for the chime. I have to apologize. I really do hate interrupting you, especially when it sounds like there's such a vibrant conversation. It looked like you were waking up a little bit. I saw some sparkling eyes, some pink cheeks. This is good. The chime I keep chiming in your general direction is the chime I carry around with me in my purse. That's why I call my purse chime. And I carry it around with me so I can get your attention in this way instead of yelling at you. But I also use it as an opportunity to take a nice deep breath in and out, which is a nice little cognitive vacation that you can take any time of the day for free and can have a huge impact on your effectiveness. So I'm going to invite you, since I happen to be holding the chime in my hand, to take an intentional deep breath in and out with me, if you'd like. Otherwise, you can just awkwardly watch me breathe. That's fine too. Thank you. You get a better version of me when I do that every once in a while. I'm curious, anybody willing to share what brought them to this work? And the answer can be no. Oh.
Interestingly enough, the person I connected with, we both had mothers who modeled. And I honestly can't remember when I decided to be an educator. But I think sometimes it's not what's taught, it's what's caught.
Right.
And I don't think it was genetic inheritance, but could be environmental inheritance.
Right. So I'm hearing you say both you and your partner had important adults who modeled for you. And I'm seeing some other nods in here. Great. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else willing to share? One of the things I'll encourage you to consider is this question on a fairly regular basis. So when I'm talking about self-care, I'm not talking about sending you to the salon, although, that's great every once in a while. But I'm talking about what are the practices that we do on a regular basis that help us be the best version of ourselves and the person we imagined ourselves to be. So at that brightest, youngest, most fresh point, when you decided, I want to help people, you maybe had no idea what that really meant in real life, right? I certainly didn't understand how hard it actually is to help people. It is very hard. We are very complicated creatures. So what was that youngest, most naive, freshest version of yourself hoping to do? And how can you remember to capture that on the days that you're feeling your worst? The way I do it is I bring this question to mind frequently, both in meetings and in activities with my support teams. Like, let's reflect on this. What are we doing here? What's the point of all of this? Why are we doing this? Let's remind ourselves of that. Let's remind ourselves of the successes, the moments where we feel like, yes, that I am embodying what my young version of myself really, truly wanted to do. The impact, I'm feeling it. And I have two concrete ways that I also help myself keep track of that. One's a feel-good file that's a green folder right here on my desk. And I put in feel-good stuff every time I get it. So anytime I get a note or a picture of Beyonce that a kid has drawn for me, it goes in the feel-good file. Anytime I get a thank you note that's like a genuine thank you note saying you made a difference, it goes in there. And then now that we live in the age of technology, with the click of a button, I've got my feel-good file in my inbox as well. So anything that goes to make me feel good and remember what brought me to this work, I hold on to that. Sometimes I bring it out when I need it. Does that make some sense? Okay. So that's slide 2. Like I said, this is just a snapshot. I think I have 45 slides for you. We're not going to get to them all. I'm just going to warn you that right now. But let's see what's next. Oh yeah, the topic, the actual topic, self-care. So, this is what I'm boldly proposing to you. I want you, before I say another word, to just tune in to maybe your belly, or maybe your chest, or maybe it's up here cognitively for you. Maybe it's in your neck. I want you to just notice what comes up for you when I say this to you. Self-care is important. Just notice what's happening in your body. And if you're like me for a large part of my early career, you might be experiencing this. I know it's important. Of course it's important. Everybody says it's important. I have to help the people. I don't know when I'm going to get to the self-care that you're talking about. So if you're anything like anybody like me, okay, good. Thank you for your honesty. The rest of you are like, no, dude, absolutely. Self-care. I'm giving myself a little massage in my mind right now. So good for you. It's good. You're role models for me because I have to work at accepting self-care as a thing that is good for you. I had heard it was good for you. That was actually the whole of my training around self-care. I went to school to become a counselor, and I think I got a sentence about taking care of myself. That didn't really cut it for me. I had to learn the hard way. So this is what I'm boldly proposing to you. Be nice to yourself. Dun, dun, dun. No? Okay. That's one of my favorite things I've ever done as a professional. That slide right there. I don't know if you remember early memes. Do you remember this meme? Excellent. I'm so glad you do. It's an actual early meme, and it's a chipmunk or whatever he is turning, and then it's the dun 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 music from Young Frankenstein. It's like super intense. It's my favorite meme. I don't know how to meme, so I took a screenshot of a chipmunk, and then I just learned that you can do like effects to have pictures come in. So let's just watch it again, shall we? Okay. Oh yeah. That's technology right there. I did that. Okay, so why am I being dramatic about this? Why am I saying that really, honestly, self-care is just being nice to yourself, right? Yeah, let's just one more time. just one more time. This is what I mean by that. I am proposing that being nice to yourself, aka self-care, is simply caring for yourself as well as you care for everyone else. When I say self-care, I don't mean suddenly you're a jerk and everyone comes second. I am saying the compassion and the energy and the love. Did anybody go to Chad Dull's this morning? It was a really good one on poverty. He was suggesting we need to love our students. Revolutionary, right? I am suggesting we love ourselves as well as we love others. This is my revolutionary thing here. So, for example, I love this cartoon. What are you doing? Taking care of myself. Here, I'll take care of you too. So I'm watering myself, I'm nourishing myself, I'm helping myself grow and thrive so that I can also help you grow and thrive. Here comes another GIF. Why, Sarah, why? Why do you imagine that I am giving you this bold proposal of caring for yourself as well as you care for others? Why? Why do you think? Who would give me a guess? Yeah. Beautiful. So if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to run on empty, which is not sustainable. You're not going to help anybody else if you've run out of fuel or steam or passion or the ability to love, right? I love it. What do other people think? Why is it a good idea to care for yourself as well as you care for others? Or do you think it's a terrible idea? Am I full of crap? Yep, absolutely. Because they're watching us, right? And we, as educators, know that what we say is absolutely one thing. What we do is the most important thing, right? And if we are saying one thing and doing a different thing, what are we teaching our children? That we're not reliable. Honestly, that's a painful side effect to imagine. If I'm saying self-care is important and then I'm showing a child that it's not, and that I'm not worth it, I'm teaching them that they don't need to respect me. I'm teaching them that what I say doesn't really mean anything. Like, wow, I just kind of bummed myself out with that. Like, that's kind of harsh. That's a lot. I would argue too, our community is really counting on us to do this, right? So I've been working with humans since I was a teenager myself. And so that math ends up to be about 30 years I've been working with other human beings, doing education out in the schools. And what I've seen in those 30 years is every single year, things are harder. Every classroom is tougher. Kids are more exhausted. Teachers are more exhausted. Administrators are more exhausted. Parents are more exhausted. Everyone is struggling more. Which means if we're not taking care of ourselves, we are not going to be effective to meet the even higher, more complex needs that our community is now offering up. And our community is not alone, right? This is something that's happening in our world, sadly. And so this is not just our fight in our classrooms. In fact, it shouldn't be a fight. It should be, I don't know, I'm kind of a hippie, so kind of like a hippie commune in our classrooms, right? Like we should not be coming to battle and doing frontline work. We should be coming and offering direct care, which means caring for ourselves so that we can as effectively care for others and sustainably care for others, knowing that the level of need and concern in our classrooms is higher than it's ever been, which means our jobs are harder than they've ever been, which means we need to take care of ourselves better than we ever have. So I'm sure this looks familiar to people some form or another. I'm seeing a lot of nods. ACEs, otherwise known as Adverse Childhood Experiences. There's tons of science that shouldn't really surprise us that tells us that what happens to us when we're children has a major impact on our life. It does not doom us because we are complex creatures and we have resilience and the ability to nurture that in others. That's what we are doing probably each and every day. And it has a big influence on us. And if we are not nurturing our own resilience, we're going to be limited in how we can nurture the resilience of others. And if, like me, many of you in this room probably have your own ACE score that's not a 0 or a 1, maybe even higher than that, even more important that we're taking care of ourselves, nurturing ourselves, understanding the impact that trauma in our lives have had on us as humans, as partners and siblings and children and educators and leaders in this community. If we're not understanding the impact that trauma has had on us, we may be unintentionally harming others around us by reenacting some of those same cycles. I just got heavy and deep again. Crap. After lunch, too. How's this sitting with you? Let me get a little read on you. Okay, good. Thumbs up, help me. Okay, we're doing okay? Okay, great. I feel like the room is hot. I'm feeling my digestive tract happening. And I just threw a lot of things at you really quickly, and heavy stuff too. So, I love this quote. I've shared this quote with many people because it resonates with me so deeply. John Conte said that in the same way that oil splatter on the painter's shirt or dirt gets under the gardener's nails, trauma work has an impact. Let me repeat that. So if I'm a painter and I paint, you know you're probably going to find paint under my fingernails or on my shirt or on my shoe or probably all of those places. You will find paint on me in all of those places probably most days. If I'm a gardener, I'm going to have dirt under my fingernails because it's part of what I do, right? And if I interact with other human beings, which every single one of us do, and we intentionally chose it. You may remember there was that sparkly version of yourself way back who decided intentionally to do this really, really complicated and difficult work. It's going to get on you. And how could it not, right? If you truly care about your students, which every single person in this room, I have to assume does. Even the hardest ones, especially the hardest ones, right? Because the kids who come to our classroom and you say, get out your math homework, and then they open their desk and then they put out their math homework, they don't need us. The kids that you have to help them remember what their pencil even looks like, those are the kids who most need us, right? They don't have that guidance or that support, or their family doesn't have the ability to provide them that. That's the ones we're the most important for. And we care about those kids so deeply. And if we didn't, it wouldn't get on us. But we do. And it gets on us. These are the kids we think about on our drive home. These are the families where we see the phone light up and we go, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can take another call. Right? It's because it's gotten on us and it feels huge and insurmountable. And sometimes like we're the only one who can do it. I'm here to remind you, we were in a huge room this morning and again at lunch, and we will be at the end of the day, with thousands of people. Together, we are moving that needle, right? Paul was talking about not just these individual pockets. Your classroom's great, but then next year you're getting the same, it just keeps coming, which is why we need to move the needle, and we're not going to be able to move that needle if we're not caring for ourselves. One of the dangers of working with humans is we don't tend to have a culture that talks about how it gets on us. We don't tend to admit, many of us who are caregivers and helpers, that things bother us and that we are falling asleep thinking about things in our classroom and in our neighborhoods and in our communities. And we feel like in a lot of ways we have to be stronger and better than that. The people need me. This is my younger version of myself, and I still fall into it when I'm not taking great care of myself. The people need me. I need to answer every phone call and do all the emails, and I need to go above and beyond every day, all the time. I know it's good to take care of myself, but I don't have time for that because the people need me. A little grandiose, maybe, right? Yeah, that's what I fall into because I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. Double-edged sword of that is I get a little grandiose sometimes. And what I did not realize in my youth was that mentality of the people need me, I need to do all the things, that led me to a behavior where I was working and working and working and working and working, and then I would crash. And I would justify it by being passionate. I'm passionate about what I do. People need me. There's such high needs. And then I would crash. Over and over again. And those crashes weren't like, oh, I've got the sniffles, I'm just a little low today, which I don't want to be a little low for people. That's going to happen sometimes, but I'd rather be at my best. These crashes would be several days at a time. I couldn't get out of bed because I was exhausted. I had completely burned myself into the ground. And what I didn't realize, because when that would happen, I would say to myself, I'm doing such a good job of taking care of myself. I'm taking a sick day. I'm taking a couple of sick days. I'm so good at self-care, completely disqualifying the fact that I had driven myself into the ground. That was my behavior. And I was proving myself to be unreliable. Let me repeat that. I thought I have to help all the people. I have to do all the emails. I have to do all the phone calls. I have to do all the thing to be reliable. But because I was operating that way, I caused myself to be unreliable. Because I was unreliably caring for myself, I was unreliably caring for others. Sound effects. I thought that would get a little applause or something. I felt like that was, thank you. I know, technology. It's just me. This is what I didn't realize, is things were getting on me. I was not noticing it, or I would notice it and go, I'll get back to you later after I do all the work and help all the people and do all the emails and do all the phone calls, right? And it was sneaking up on me and invisibly getting on me. It wasn't invisible to anyone else but me. I was the one who was denying the fact that it was having an impact on me, to my own detriment and to the detriment of people I was trying to care for. So, how many people have heard of this book? Good. I cannot recommend this book enough. This book changed my life. And if you get nothing out of my presentation today, but writing down, Google Laura Vandernoot Lipsky TED Talk and take 20 minutes to watch it and listen to what she has to say, I'm hoping you will find it worth it. I'm not kidding. It saved my life. Yep, because it's really fun to say. Laura Vandernoot Lipsky. So it's Vandernoot. Lipsky, Lipsky. Laura Vandernoot Lipsky. What Laura talked about was she was an ER nurse or a trauma nurse of some sort and was working. I really recognized myself in the way she talked about her work and her passion. And long story short, she, several years into her career in trauma work, went on vacation with her family to a tropical island somewhere. They're standing on a cliff, and there's a sunrise and an ocean in front of them. Her family's there. They're just watching this. And she turns to her family and says, do you think they bring the trauma helicopter and just land it here and then belay down? Or do you think they take it down to the shore? And she turned to her family as she's asking the question. They were just like, what? Where are you? We're watching a sunset. You're in the ER right now. And it really was a thunderbolt for her to realize, I think this is getting on me. So given that I think she's a little bit obsessive, she then dove into research and put together this just absolutely beautiful, beautiful book. Really, the first half of the book is talking about how trauma can show up, how it can get on us. And the whole second half of the book is about how can we weave in practices that help us manage the fact that trauma gets on us. How do we help cleanse ourselves and heal ourselves and build resilience? So I want to give you just a moment to really reflect on how this work has maybe impacted you. Because I'm saying, if you care about what you do, and I'm guessing you do, it's getting on you. And maybe sometimes more than other times. Maybe sometimes there's other stuff going on in your life that makes it even harder to manage it. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity to reflect a little bit. So this is the front cover of the Trauma Stewardship book. And so these are some of the many ways that trauma can show up on us. So starting up at the top, feeling helpless and hopeless. Sense that one can never do enough. That's my little grandiose thing, right? Hypervigilance, so that sense of kind of jumpiness or okay, when's the other shoe going to drop? Diminished creativity, just not being able to think outside the box as well. Inability to embrace complexity. Minimizing, it's not that big a deal. Chronic exhaustion, physical ailments. Inability to listen, deliberate avoidance. So that's that you see the phone number coming over the phone and you're like, nope, I'm not here right now. A sense of persecution, I can't do anything right, people are out to get me, administration, the government, the whoever's out to get me. Feelings of guilt, fear, anger, cynicism, I'm going to circle that one for a second. Sarcasm. I'm making a face at you because sometimes people use sarcasm and they're like, no, I handle things great because I'm hilarious. This is my rule for sarcasm. I worked with teenagers for a long time, but I think this is true for everybody. Sarcasm is only appropriate to use when everybody's in a great mood. That's the only time it's going to work, because somebody's going to be pissed if you use it under any other circumstance. So just throwing that out there. Like if you're using, is everybody in a great mood? Everybody? That inability to empathize or that numbing. So that sense of my classroom has all the same kids with all the same problems. Last year, the year before that, the year before that, right? So that inability to see people as individuals and just starting to see the problems. Addictions, that could be drug and alcohol, that could be Netflix, that could be gambling, that could be sex, that could be food, that could be all the things that we humans use to try to trick ourselves into avoiding how we actually feel. There's my grandiosity. So taking a look at that list, I want to give you just a moment to reflect with somebody next to you. Are there any things that look familiar for you? And what are those couple of things? It may not be that they're currently what you're experiencing, but, throw out a couple to the person sitting next to you, please.
Anytime you want. Simply breathe anytime.
I'm curious, how did that go? That was not a lot of time, I recognize. Were people able to recognize themselves on this list somewhere? Yeah, okay. And you don't have to give me a Likert scale here, but I would be curious if you could just do a Likert scale in your mind. If up here is like, oh, I've got every single thing on that list, and down here is like, I feel terrific. I'm going to be sarcastic around other people in great moods. So just think about where you would put yourself on that Likert scale. And now, second Likert scale, if I were to say, how well do you think you infuse daily self-care practices into your life? How correlated do you feel like these scales might be? Yeah, probably pretty correlated. What I find is that when I'm doing better, it's easier to do the things that help me feel better. When I'm feeling worse, it's easier to not remember to remember the things that make me feel better. There's actually neuroscience behind that. So you don't have to believe me, but smart neuroscientific people can tell you why that is. But it's just the way we are as humans. So really, just in our last couple minutes, what I want you to walk away with, please, is number one, okay, if you now have an awareness that, this stuff's probably getting on you, great. Number two, I want you to consider what that means to be nice to yourself. In one small way, what is something that you could do over the next week that would be nice to yourself? And this is the kind of thing I'm suggesting. So I like to do yoga in the mornings. That's one of my meditative, mindful ways of orienting myself in the day. And I can get obsessive about it, which isn't helpful if I need to sleep more. So I have granted myself permission to do yoga everywhere from literally 5 minutes. I have an app on my phone that I can do 5 minutes up to an hour of yoga. So depending on what my body tells me when I wake up in the morning, I then give myself permission to either sleep a little bit more or do a little more yoga. That's one way that each day I'm nice to myself. And first thing, right out of the gate, move the cat off the head, make the decision about how much yoga do I want to do. Do I need to lay here a little longer? Do I need to get up and start moving my body? So in your final moments here in this room with me, I just want you to tune in for a moment and pick one thing that you could do to be nice to yourself. It could be drinking a little bit more water each day, one more glass of water. It could be calling your best friend or sending them a funny meme, like maybe a chipmunk or something. I don't know. It could be hugging your pet or your kid intentionally, one extra time a day. one thing to be nice to yourself. And now I like you to turn to the person next to you and tell them what that one nice thing is. I'm sorry, I'm chiming at you again. But it means our time is really almost up. I have 2 more minutes to just say to you, I'm hoping that number 1, you have an awareness of what you maybe need, the information our body gives us by way of physical sensations like hunger and having to go to the bathroom, feeling tired, feeling tight muscles, right? The other information it gives us with thoughts that we have, patterns of behavior. That's important information to help you know when it's getting on you, which is your cue to say, I need to be even nicer to myself. The more this gets on me, the nicer I need to be. And so if you don't know who can help you with that, if you don't know where to start, if you want to argue with me and you're really mad that I keep saying the word self-care, then give me a call. Let's talk about this, because you may need to be able to wrap your brain around this before your body allows you to behave it. Or maybe you just need to start behaving it and your brain will catch up. But if you are having any struggles at all with it whatsoever, please, 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 please be in touch with me. I would love to help you figure out what that could mean. Oh, let's just look one more time. One more. Yep, it's technology right there. So, please, 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 be nice to yourself. Care for yourself as well as you care for others. And absolutely most important life skill, ask for help if you need it. You've now gotten your self-care stickers. Congratulations. It's not as good as a, black belt in self-care, but it's a way on the ladder. And feel free to be in touch with me if you have any questions. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day. Please be nice to yourself.